All right, I am especially excited today because I am talking with a special lady from my home country, who's right now in Toronto, I believe. But as we talked, you were in Kingston. Hermanthi, welcome.
Welcome, Mark.
It's great to see you. Great to meet you. I appreciate you taking the time to participate in our leadership series. And actually, one of my favorite topics and an area that we do a lot of work in these days. Sustainability, environmental, etc. So why don't we start though? Let's just get right to it. With, if you would, just tell us your name, introduce yourself, and a little bit about what you do in your background.
Yes, I'm Hermanthi Ranashinghe. I'm an environment and natural resource specialist with more than 20 years experience in university teaching, research, and environmental consulting. So I'm from Sri Lanka originally, and I was the professor in environmental science and forestry in a leading university in Sri Lanka, which is the University of Sri Jayewardenepura. And I migrated to Canada last year in 2014. And there I am, at the moment, I'm a adjunct professor in the York University in the Faculty of Environmental Studies, the York University. And while doing that, I was working in the Ministry of Environment and Climate Change in the Eastern Regional Office in Kingston in the Technical Support Section as a Water Resource Assessment Specialist. So and also I do some teaching in the University of Toronto on various subjects, including experimental design in environmental science. So that is what keeps me busy right now.
I bet it does. I'm here in Los Angeles, and I'm on the board of an organization called Verde Exchange, and there's a lot of interaction and engagement between the province of Ontario and the state of California on all sustainability, water, transportation, et cetera, et cetera. So there's a very positive connection there, and in fact, we brought the conference to Toronto for a few years as well, not too long ago. So there's a lot of good things happening, and I wanna get into it with you a little bit because it's an important topic. But before we do that, what I'd like to ask everybody, since this is the leadership series, is I'd like to ask you what your definition is, if you will, of leadership.
Yes, leadership is essentially the ability to influence others
Hmm.
to follow you. But in my perspective, because I have led many multidisciplinary teams, especially in environmental impact assessment on large projects, and I feel that it is the process of social influence in which a person enlists the support of others in the accomplishment of a common task or a goal by motivating and organizing them.
Well done. It's hard to define leadership um, in a short amount of time, and that was one of the better ones we've had, actually. So good job. Um,
Okay.
you have a very unique background. In fact, I'm sure most people don't even know what the original name of Sri Lanka was. So we'll put that out for a quiz because I know. But you're originally from Sri Lanka. You've got an education, interesting enough, in biology and forestry and extensive environmental consulting. Um, One thing we found from the business perspective is there was a turning point when the environmental people and the business people started engaging together about, hey, there actually can be common benefits here instead of being arguing with each other all the time. What's your insights on that as it pertains to, as I would call it, both a sustainable earth and a sustainable business?
Yeah, definitely. It really leads to sustainable earth and sustainable business because, like I would like to bring about an acronym that actually this is like our whole body because environment is really our whole body. But the earth was a wholesome thing, an entity long time ago. That's the perspective that we had. But with time, we compartmentalize that to economic, environmental, and social aspects. So just like specialization in medicine, where you concentrate on the legs, the nose, the face, rather than taking the whole body into perspective. So this really led to a devastating circumstances where we really didn't integrate it. So you're very right, because there was a turning point in the realization that without this integrated approach, the entire balance will be toppled, and it lead to disastrous circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
So the keystone event in this realization is this United Nations General Assembly in 1983, where the Brundtland Commission was established, and they brought forward the Agenda 21, the agenda for the 21st century, where actually in the very simple terms, they said environment is where you live and development is what you do in it to make your life better. So it's not really two different things, but one and the same. So, well, that was really a turning point in our Earth's history, I would say. And then other efforts followed suit, where the environment and other aspects like business, economic, social were looked at in one viewpoint. So that is where this triple bottom line concept came, which is very relevant to our sustainable business, where business is sustainable only if the triple bottom line, the economic, environment, and social perspectives are taken accounted for. And well, when you say the profit or loss finally is with all that, and not only in monetary terms.
You know, as my British friends would say, that's brilliant. That triple bottom line is the whole ball game. I agree, and you know, I find it fascinating. You've had a lot of international travel, international experience. My favorite word in the whole dictionary is awareness, and I find people that have met more people and, you know, understand more about what's going on. They're more aware of what's going on. Where do you see the leadership, either, you know, both coming right now and where it's needed to continue the progress that's been made on what you're talking about, sustainable business, sustainable Earth?
Yes, well, when you talk about this globalization of the world, of course, it's a very positive thing, because it really opens up people, opens up countries, so that, the cultures, the communities, communications, markets, services, everything opens up.
Right.
And it's a very positive thing, but it has some negative things as well, because when you open up like this, I mean, there could be enhancing exploitation of resources also, where the developed countries might, go and exploit resources in developing countries, and and also the cultures would integrate, and there would be loss of the real cultural perspective. Some catastrophes could come along, like the climate change, the degradation of the cultural and the religious norms of the people, the resource depletion, land degradation, desertification. So, I mean, you know, in the context of all that, the globalization again really had taken its toll, had taken the grasp, and the global leadership has come along. So, actually, as environmentalists, we're so happy, because there had been a lot of events where the countries had got together as a global leader in various conventions and treaties. For example, I would say, it started with the United Nations Earth Summit in Rio de Janeiro in 1992, where, three very concrete conventions were signed with the participation of many countries, more than 400. That is the Convention on Climate Change, Climate Convention on Biodiversity, Convention on Land Degradation and Desertification. So that, although they are not laws, they're really expectations of the countries to make their own laws back home when they go in regionally as well as nationally, so that these expectations will trickle down to the very core. So actually, well, it is global leadership that really, shows the way to the national, regional, and local leadership in protecting the environment. And things are very positive in this arena, and we are so happy about it.
Yeah, no, that's really well said, and obviously, all entangled with that is the ever importance of education, as we all know, and again, globally, that could look different as well. And as we've seen with so many things, it can often take years of education to get change. Examples I've used, recycling took years to get everybody to think of how to recycle properly, or things of that nature. In our business, which is executive search, and we're hired to find great people to join companies. What we found is, especially with young people, they have one of their big factors is looking to see if the people they're going to be working with have a mindset of caring for the environment, have a mindset of sustainability. That's how they differentiate them as preferred employers for them. Do you see that where you are in university graduates looking for work, or companies you work with looking for people, that it's become a key factor even in joining together?
Yes, there's been a lot of discussion, especially in the universities about this. And for example, I would like to say that you mentioned smoking, right? So the
Right.
Ceylon, in our country, Ceylon Tobacco Company, or the tobacco companies in the world, they're still thriving. But there are certain number of people who would really hesitate to join them, not because of the lucrative benefits that they offer, but because they're really in unsustainable business.
Mm-hmm.
But I would like to say that, it's really good academically to discuss these things, but in today's environment where jobs are really far-fetched and hard to come, uh, people may be compelled to join unsustainable businesses also, just because of the mere fact that they need employment. But for people who are not entry people who can really decide, they might take this opportunity to, think it over to see, because it really helps their conscience to work for a company who is really, sustainable, who is questing for a green world. So, pros and cons.
Yeah,
When
no,
you don't have anything, of course, you have to take whatever comes along. But when you can make choices, people
right.
do make choices.
Well, and I think employers are also getting a little smarter in the sense that they see that they can get the best people by being sustainable, by being environmentally conscious as well. So you're right. Well, there's always pros and cons, but that definitely falls into play there. Um, we What do you think business leaders can do, or should do for that matter, with respect to reporting how sustainable they are? And what I mean by that is, initially, companies were doing more PR type of stuff, saying they care about the environment, they have social responsibility, but it's more public relations. Now they're getting really into, doing real things that relate to sustainability. Do you find that there's specific things we could tell leaders what to do that'll make a difference?
Yes, definitely. Actually, companies thought at first that to resort to these CSR activities, they have to spend a lot of money, and perhaps in the competitive market they'll be at a disadvantage.
Right.
But actually, studies of many workers had shown that it's not the case, because actually sustainability doesn't really come with a price. Sometimes you can change the process to make it less environmentally degraded. I mean, like, more environmentally friendly, where you spend less on the inputs just by changing the process, and it's called the cleaner production. So it really saves the company money in doing that, and also makes a better environment for the people who worked work in the company too. And also, when we talk about this corporate social responsibility, up to a recent time, it was really another addendum that they had, that they sort of allocated a certain amount of money to help out people, but it is not really connected with their main core of business. But when these the global reporting initiatives, green reporting initiatives came along, it is really the company inside, outside, how they relate to within as well as outside, and to ensure that everything is environmentally sustainable. So, I mean, that is the real sustainability, not just to, have a pot of money to help out people who need that, but to make the whole business sustainable. So I think companies are moving forward to that, and well, it really have generated new business because of the various innovations that they have come up with in the arena of sustainability. So companies are now really competing to have this new sustainable business, which is really very long lasting, and we are all for that.
Yeah, I think you're right. You find when you do this type of thing, new inventions, new technologies, new ways things seems to happen that benefits everybody from that. Quick question on this. I don't know how involved you are in boards or know about boards. We do searches to put people on boards, but it seems to me obvious that a board now should have somebody on there that has some expertise in sustainability and everything going on with environment. Would you think the same thing?
It is actually, it's really the leadership which trickles down to the bottom. So we have in the boards, we have people with various portfolios, and essentially there should be one with a sustainability portfolio. And it is there if you look at many boards in companies now,
Right.
because that person heads the sustainability group, and the sustainability group is comprising of people from all the departments, so that the sustainability efforts are trickled down, interspersed with all the departments, all the workings in that particular company. So therefore, I mean, it is an essential thing to have this leadership which who really would guide the sustainability process of the company, so that the entire company, the processes, the workings will be sustainable. So it is a must. Yes.
Yeah, I agree 100%. All right, a couple of personal questions. Not too personal, but a little bit personal. Do you have any pets?
Yes, actually, I'm a great pet lover.
Hmm.
In Sri Lanka, I had 7 dogs and
Oh,
one
really?
cat. Yes, 2 died, and at the moment I have 5. And although I'm in Canada, I maintain a house for them so that they could live a comfortable life. Yes.
That's so great. Well, we're doing we've started a series that was recommended by some executives it's called Pets and Their Executives, basically. So if you get a chance, you have to send us a picture with some of your dogs and your pets.
Well, I definitely do. Actually, in addition to that, actually, all these pets are not really taken on for beauty, because they were really, well, they were at a disadvantage. Either they were accident victims or they were homeless. So actually, I took them on. My family took them on and gave them a great life. And in addition to that, when I was in the university back home in Sri Lanka, I had been feeding and looking after the dogs in the university compound, and finally established an association called Animal Welfare Association, who comprised of the staff and the students of the university as well, to look after the welfare of these dogs, vaccination, food, like, more than 80 dogs in the compound, and
Well,
it still is functioning.
that's awesome. You've already answered one of my next questions, which is going to be, what are you doing to make a difference in the world? But we'll get to that. These are kind of 1 or 2 word answer type of questions. Do you have a favorite activity or sport?
I like walking. I like nature watching and taking photographs.
Awesome. How about, do you have a favorite movie or TV show?
Movie, of course, like I like the video on the home, which is really on the environment and how it sort of like it developed and what it is now and what are the challenges it faces. It's really an awesome video. I like it very much.
That's not a surprise. How about favorite music and favorite food?
Favorite music, I like country and western songs.
All right.
Favorite food is I'm a vegetarian,
Hmm.
so I like Indian food, which is not vegetarian food, and also vegetarian Thai and Chinese food. And
Ah,
also I like Canadian food. I like poutine.
poutine. He likes poutine. That's the best answer I've had so far. um, Thank you so much for participating and giving us your insights. We really appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Mark.